Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today I want to take some time and talk about a huge victory that we just won for the Second Amendment in this country. A great victory for the gun rights community. And it's coming out of California, where a lot of the bad anti-gun stuff still exists. You know, usually when you hear big victories these days, it's either in Illinois, New York, New Jersey, or California, because that's where most of the bad law is. Most states are free states these days as far as the Second Amendment is concerned. Hell, half of them have constitutional carry. So we're doing pretty good. And today we got another huge victory. Now, one way people are explaining this is they're saying that the handgun roster in California has been found unconstitutional. That's kind of a mistelling of it, but it gives you the gist. See, there's a roster in California that tells you what handguns you can have, what ones meet the state requirements. And that's not the law, though. So that's not really what's been struck down. The roster itself isn't a law. It's just a byproduct of the law. The law that's been struck down are parts of a gun control law that says for any gun to be brought into the state and be sold, it needs to meet 3 criteria. It has to have a loaded chamber indicator, has to have a magazine disconnect, and has to have micro stamping. There are no guns in the world that have those 3 things all together. In fact, one of them, the micro stamping, doesn't exist anywhere, and it's not really feasible and easily defeated anyway, so it makes no sense. Now, I know they say, well, these things are to save lives. And the, Bonta or whatever his name is, the attorney general, there's like, these laws save lives and we'll continue to fight for them. No, they don't. Those are clearly not designed to save lives. They created a criteria that no gun meets so that you just can't bring new guns into the state. And what the judge did, and his name is Cormac Carney, I do believe is how you say his name. Now, I know that sounds weird for a judge. It sounds more like someone to be telling your fortune at the county fair or something. You expect him to be in a big, sequined turban and all this other stuff. But apparently he's a judge. He missed his calling with that name, I think. But he declared that the laws, the parts of the law that say that guns have to have these things to be sold in the state of California are unconstitutional. And they are clearly only designed to prevent people who live in California from buying modern firearms. So he has struck down those provisions, saying they are unconstitutional, which would mean, because of that roster would become a thing of the past. And that is great. That roster is one of the worst gun laws in the country, or actually the laws that make that roster a thing, if you know what I'm talking about here. So this is a great victory. Now, a lot of people say, well, what does this mean for me? Well, if you don't live in California, it doesn't mean anything for you. Unless you're a big 2A supporter like I am and you're just like, yay, rooting for the team. It's kind of like when, you're sitting on your couch in Tennessee rooting for the Dallas Cowboys or something. Your fat ass ain't out there on the field playing. You don't get to be paid millions of dollars, but you're happy to see them win because they're your team. That's kind of like the way I feel about Second Amendment victories in states like California. I'm not there, I'm not benefiting, but yay, team. So this is very exciting to me. And it should be exciting to you if you care about gun rights. Now, I know everybody doesn't care about gun rights. Some people don't care at all. Others have very limited amounts they care, the FUDs and stuff. But some of us are Second Amendment absolutists, and we love it when there's a victory. And this is a big one. Now, what does it mean for you if you're in California? Well, it means that pretty soon you'll be able to buy all the guns everybody else could buy. Now, it's not a done deal yet. It will be. There's no way this law will survive under Bruen. I've been saying this ever since the Bruen decision. I've been saying, hey, these things are not going to be constitutional under Bruen. There's just no way. Show me a historic precedent for guns having a magazine disconnect and a loaded chamber indicator and micro stamping. There's no such precedent at all. So this definitely has zero chance of standing. Now, of course, there is a 2-week stay on his order where he orders the state to stop enforcing this law, which would mean stop enforcing the roster, basically. So the state can appeal, and the state will appeal, because the state of California is run by a bunch of simpletons who only care about scoring political points. Well, I'm seldom short when I say simpletons. These people are actually very smart. They just don't have any scruples. They just don't have any morals. They just don't have any dignity. They don't care if they're right or they're wrong. They are so self-absorbed that whatever they do, they think is okay as long as it's benefiting them. And that's what they do. We have a similar problem here in Washington with the same types of people leading the state. So they will appeal it, but they'll lose. And this will eventually, now they might be able to get an en banc hearing or get a circuit court hearing or something and get this reversed. But it would never survive a Supreme Court appeal, period. It won't. And I don't even think it would survive a state court appeal. Because if they enforce the law as it is now written, after Bruin, they would have no choice but to strike this down also. Any judge that didn't, I think, should be removed from the bench because they are obviously refusing to do their job. So if you live in the state of California, it's not done yet. But like I said, this is a huge victory. In a couple of weeks, they have time to appeal. We'll see if they get a stay. I'm not even sure they'll get a stay. This might just go into effect in 2 weeks. If they do get a stay, well then, until their appeal is heard, it'll be in limbo. But right now, this is a dagger in the heart of the whole scheme in California to prevent people from getting modern firearms. The judge himself said this is just clearly an elaborate scheme to prevent people in California from buying newer, safer, better guns. That it's not designed for safety. Of course, Bonta's like, it saves lives, but like I said, they lie all the time. He knows this is not designed to save lives. And plus, if you look at evidence, there's no evidence that it saves any lives at all, period. I mean, I'm sure there's people in certain parts of California that would love to find out how safe they are because of people like Bonta and Newsom, because they aren't seeing it on the streets. So, like I said, though, this is a huge victory for the Second Amendment. It's right now not a done deal, but like I said, it is the first step towards a very major victory here, and one that is almost assured. So I always tell people don't celebrate yet, but in this case, you can celebrate quite a bit. You can celebrate in the fact that this is the first time they've ever been successful in sticking a dagger into the heart of these stupid California laws. All right, everybody, with that being said, I want to say one more thing before I go here today. You know, someone commented on one of my old videos where I was talking about the adequacy of a caliber. You know, they use that old trope of, oh, if that caliber's so inadequate, won't you stand in front of it and let me shoot you? That proves it's adequate. You know, I just want to point out to people that when you say things like this, you look like a moron. Because here's the reality of that. Just because something can hurt you doesn't mean it's adequate. Especially not for self-defense. If I take that same argument and say, okay, I've got a pointy stick, you stand there and let me stab you with it. Are you going to do that? No, of course you're not going to do that because that could hurt you seriously. Does that mean a pointy stick is adequate for self-defense? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It's a stupid thing to say. So whenever you want to make an argument for a caliber, don't use that whole, would you stand there and let me shoot you thing to try to make your point, because that just makes you sound like the only point you have is the one at the top of your head. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope to see you again tomorrow. I want to thank everyone out there who does whatever they do to help this channel be successful. I do appreciate it. I will see you all again tomorrow, hopefully. Until then, I want to remind all of you to always carry and stay safe until I see you again. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Just wanting to remind everyone, if you want to support this channel and the programs that we sponsor, or you just want some official Yankee Marshall Posse merchandise, you can go over to tympistolproject.com and there is a wide selection of merchandise over there. Pick yourself out something, buy yourself something nice. Anytime you buy a t-shirt, you get 2 entries into this month's friend drawing. You buy any other item, you get 1 entry into this month's friend drawing, and all profits go to the Pets and Vets Fund that we support. So go on over, get yourself some merch, help save an animal in need, and maybe win a prize. Hey everyone, Yankee here. You know, in my videos, we often cover some complicated subjects. Subjects with a lot of gray area. So if you would like to further discuss anything said in my videos, please join us in one of my live chats. Live chats are held most days at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for Monday and Wednesday when they are at 5 p.m. Pacific. There is a clickable link to the live chats in the upper right-hand corner of this video. If you disagree with anything I've said in a video, feel free to participate in Spank the Yank. You can come on the live discussion panel and let me know face to face how I was wrong.